dental podcast
where real people,
real stories,
and real life come together.
This is the Life and Dentistry podcast.
All right, guys. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Life and Dentistry podcast.
Hey, everybody.
What's going everybody? On, podcast world? How y'all doing?
Y'all can't see everybody waving his hand back and forth.
Where's your trademark, Scotty? It's like
what's that?
The Matthew McConaughey.
All right. I told you I got to come up with something else.
Man. All right.
So we've got a new member of the podcast on. Lou, what's up, buddy?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me. Nice to be with you guys again here.
Check out that flawless hair.
What's so funny about that?
At Mariuso DMD. Shout out.
AKA Fabio.
I'm just trying to mimic Scotty.
We're glad to have Cole back on with us, too. Cole's been MIA down at the beaches in Florida.
Hey, what do you expect? You come down to Florida, you got the beach, you got fishing.
What else you got, bud?
Last thing
have you done
is record podcast episodes.
New friends?
Yeah, we're
have you done any fishing?
Now.
Yeah, we did do a little fishing.
Did you catch anything?
Snook. At least we told people we got a snook. I got a picture with it and everything.
So it sounds exactly like when
last night.
It sounds exactly like when we went on that spring break trip and you took those kayaks out in the middle of the ocean.
with the
man,
fished for days and brought nothing.
That's true.
We thought you died out there, man.
Yeah, he looked dead on that kayak. He didn't move for hours.
Hey, that's what happened. Get down there. You just got the sun on you. Out there in the middle of the ocean, it's just you and a fishing pole in the sun.
What's that? So, Cole, what's it like down there in your AEGD?
It's been good. I mean, I feel like I've learned a lot. It kind of depends on, as far as what we do, depends on the day. Most days we usually get there about 7:15 or so. We've got a little seminar usually from 7:30 to 8, and it could be on IV sedation or meeting with the oral surgeon for the day. That's like we did one other day about like bony impacted third molars and the best ways to go about getting those out. We've had talks on oral sedation, IV sedation, ready to do those. We've had some talks on occlusion, a lot of different things, really. And then we're seeing patients from 8 to 12. Usually, I mean, depending on what the procedures are and all that, 2 to 4 patients in the morning. And then the same thing in the afternoon. Right now, the biggest thing is kind of transitioning patients from the old residents to us. So we're taking patients that are, mid-treatment and trying to catch up with what's been done, why it's been done, and now what needs to be done next. So there's part of that too, but then there's also seeing new patients that are coming in. So we're starting fresh with other patients as well.
What's it like?
So are you
go ahead.
Are they testing y'all a lot? Like, are you taking a lot of tests, or are you just strictly seeing patients? Or how does an AEGD work?
No, we're not taking any tests. It's seeing patients, and then these seminars where, I mean, it could be – we actually had one also on ortho. There's a recurring ortho seminar because we do ortho down here too. So it's
nice you get to learn a little ortho.
What's that?
I said it's nice you get to actually find out what ortho is all about.
Yeah,
What is ortho?
I mean, I don't know. See, honestly, it's one of the reasons that I wanted to do a residency like this is because I wanted to get a little more deep into specialties, learn from specialists, the way they do things, and then see how far I can push myself, see what I want to do, see what I can do. We're doing a lot of, like, I actually did a procedure today where it's expose and bond. So it's a impacted number 11 and is not coming in. So what the orthodontist does is they refer the patient to us. We flap it, get under the bone if it's still under the bone, or just get under the soft tissue if it's exposed from the bone but under the soft tissue. Find the canine, bond a bracket to it that has a chain on it, connect it to the ortho wire, and then you send them back to the orthodontist, and the orthodontist slowly pulls that tooth into the arch. So, stuff like that, or really weird impacted third molars, or difficult endo or perio or whatever. Just do a lot of different procedures here. And so it's given me an opportunity to kind of see those things, know how to take care of it, but know what I want to do and what I don't want to do.
So are you doing any treatment planning yourself, or is a lot of this already like treatment plan? Well,
like I said, there's some patients that have been seen by previous residents that are mid-treatment. So, we're finishing based off of what they treatment planned, but we're seeing new patients too. So we're developing our own treatment plans. Most of the time we come up with the treatment plans ourselves, and then we talk to the patient, present it to the patient, and, start the treatment from there.
So what's it like versus like
more difficult cases? We'll run it by, specialists or the chair of the department or whatever, and go through treatment planning with them.
Well, I want to know like the differences in treatment planning there versus, like, let's say John Wesley or Scotty's practice. Like when you get a new patient in, like how in depth do you guys go versus maybe how in depth we go in our offices right now? So like when you get a new patient, like Cole, for you, what's the process? Like do you work everything up? Does your assistant take some information, or is it?
Well, so kind of the way I do it is, just get medical dental history, just obviously important things you need to know about their medical history, medications, what brings them in. First of all, I try to start out a new patient exam with just talking to the patient, see where they're from, what brought them to the area, find whatever ways we can connect on a personal level before we even start talking about treatment or anything. I'm trying to just develop that relationship. Try to find whatever I can that, we have in common. And then that's kind of the foundation. Then I move on to medical history, medications, do an extra oral exam, intraoral exam, make sure we have in the chart.
You're only seeing one chair at a time, right? You're not seeing multiple patients at the same time, are you?
Yeah, both. So like today I had 2 patients working at one time. It depends on the situation.
Okay.
So
how's it different than school? Like compared to what we know at school, you get 3-hour slot and you get one patient.
Yeah. Well, they have suggested.
Are you liking it? Is it better?
Yes, it's definitely better. It's there are certain things that you don't necessarily have freedom with, but I feel like mostly they're good things. Just that, and you still have the freedom, but for me, if I have a really difficult case, then I'm not just going to sit there and treatment plan it myself. I feel like that's one of the good things about having a program like this, where you can talk to people that are right there in the same building who have been doing big cases for a long time, or even if it's just a simple implant, they've been placing implants for a long time and can talk to you about it if you want to talk about it, and see the patient, look at the patient with you.
So do you have so I know, so you mentioned like talking to these people. Do they give you free reign to because you're a licensed dentist. I mean, you graduate dental school, so you have a license. Can you technically treat all your patients without asking, for not a check, but you see what I'm saying? Like
Checkpoints.
Right.
Yeah, like can you just do like if you wanted to, or is there like a
Yes. No, there are no start checks. There's no, you get to a certain point, you have to have them look or anything like that. I mean, one of my co-residents did a molar endo start to finish, never, talked to anybody. So you have pretty much complete freedom to practice the way you want.
Yeah.
And they're just there to assist you if there are things that maybe you have never done before or things that are difficult. They'll be there to help you along the way if you want it.
So if a
That's
new patient,
really mostly how it's set up.
yeah. So if a new patient comes in and you see they need, let's say it's endo on number 19, do you have to get the treatment plan checked, or are you technically practicing under your own license? Like
No, you don't have to get a treatment plan checked.
Okay, I got you.
I have put multiple treatment plans in, never talked to anybody. There was one treatment plan I was working on that was 2 sinus lifts, 6 implants on the top, and then 4 individual implants on the bottom, and some other restorative. So I went to the chair of the program and was like, here's what I've come up with for a treatment plan. What do you think about this, this, and this?
But
so
technically, you could have planned those 6 implants, and then just could have started, and that would have been it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, if you really screw something up and you've treatment planned something that makes no sense, and
Right,
it's going to really negatively affect the patient, then you could get there that day, and they see you're about to place an implant, and they ask you about it, and come in there, and you're just doing something that makes no sense, then they'll stop you there.
I got you.
But you have the freedom to treatment plan, present a treatment plan to the patient, and move on.
Because I just wonder, because I
So
know
it sounds like. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. Well, I know at UK, we were practicing pretty much because we weren't licensed. We were under the doctors their license. So with the residency, it's technically kind of it's like it would be if you were in private practice. It's kind of on you, right? Like because you're practicing under your own license technically.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, you have a temporary. So right now, I have a temporary Florida license, which allows me to do things down here.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure, to be honest with you, the legal aspects of if something went wrong, is it on me or not? I don't know. I mean, I'm still either way. I'm practicing the way I feel like is best for the patient. So I'm looking.
So Cole,
at it
can
if
you
I'm a dentist and it's all on me? That's how I'm looking at it right now.
Cole, since you have a temporary license, could you moonlight at a private office and make extra money, or is that out of the question?
Technically not supposed to moonlight down here.
Oh, okay. All
Do you
right.
do it
I
anyway?
was just making sure.
Dude. Yeah, let's just announce this. Yeah, I'm doing it.
So
Trying to get me in trouble, Joe?
hey, I don't know, man. I'm just talking here.
All right.
So John Wesley and Scotty, what's y'all's treatment plan process like? Because for me, that was like one of the biggest transitions for me. And then we'll ask Lewis kind of he's got a different kind of practice going on down there with implants. So we'll ask him about the same kind of deal.
Not yet.
I mean, it was a totally new transition for me. Going through it, when you see a patient, and I think it's pros and cons, but I know like in dental school, you're trying to get as much experience as you can, and you're trying to, not that you're planning over what someone needs, but you're trying to find everything you can to get down to that they need and that they can use so you can get the experience. It's like, well, private practice is like a little different because you've got to balance things a little differently. Like I don't know, like it's kind of tough because so many factors kind of go into that,
That's the thing,
Like when
man. I found out there's more factors than I had going on.
Yeah,
than there
because
used to be.
now like you've got to balance what is the best treatment and you obviously propose that, but you've got to also have in that backpack, you've got to have that treatment option B, option C, option D, because what if someone can't afford something? Or what if, I don't know, like for an RPD, what we always kind of learn, like, survey crowns are kind of the standard of care, right?
Right.
And in practice, it's a little different.
But not everybody that needs an RPD is going to get that survey crown.
Exactly.
Especially when that crown costs like $1,000.
Yeah. So you have to balance that and kind of piece things together to fit the situation.
Is it like that, Cole, down in Florida? What is it like financially for the patients there? Is it kind of like cheaper still, or is it more
It's
high
a
dollar?
wide range, honestly. I mean, we see Medicaid patients here, so we're billing out a lot of Medicaid. We also see, so right now it's not as big, but down here you get the snowbirds, which is, people that come up from up north closer to the winter when it gets cold. I'm sure Lou knows all about it, being from Florida.
Yeah, it's why your car insurance is so high. And then not only that, but everyone committing fraud too. So watch out.
Talking about?
Oh man.
Well, the snowbirds, they're older people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've
never committed any fraud.
I'm actually surprised at how many patients already that I've seen that are from Pennsylvania, Maryland, New York, even right now, that have actually moved down here permanently. But anyway, so you get these snowbirds, and a lot of them are retired, have money, so they're willing to pay for bigger treatment plans. But you have a wide range, so it's good that you're kind of seeing a little bit of everything. But you have patients that come in that you can technically save a tooth, and you've told them we can do a root canal on this tooth, and then we put a crown on it, and they're like, I cannot afford it, I need the tooth out, and you extract the tooth, But then you've got patients that come in. So right now I'm seeing a patient that is from Britain and was a big accountant in Britain, came over here, worked with some big firms here, and he's like, money's
British teeth are the best.
Let's just treatment plan what I need, what's best, and we'll just do it. So the way I kind of present treatment plans, and I feel like to an extent, this is how I would do it once I'm done here and get in private practice, is say, okay, let's start with how I would want it done myself. So if I can build that rapport with the patient, they trust me, we're on a personal level, then I can say, all right, we can make you a removable partial here. Now, patients typically don't like them a whole lot. Here's what it's going to do to your teeth long term. It's probably not going to fit the best. Here's what I would do. I would get a crown on this tooth. See, this could hold the wire better, or we could place an implant here, and just start, whether they end up saying they can afford it or not. If it was me and I didn't have a ton of money, I would want the dentist to approach me with what they would want themselves, and then we can go down from there, and I don't feel like it has to be a really long conversation and take up a ton of time in your practice. Or you can set aside time with cases like that, where you can sit down with a patient in an office and go through that with them. I mean, different dentists do it different ways, but that's kind of how I'm approaching things down here. It doesn't matter what patient comes in. I say, here's what I would do myself, and I'll present that to you, and then we can work off of that. We can come to a conclusion based on what you can do financially, what I think is best, and then we can come to a conclusion on what treatment we'll do. So, what do you feel like? Can you do that same approach right now?
To kind of add to that, like something that so when I come in and check for, let's say I've got a hygiene check, I walk in, you've got the little map of all 32 teeth. And a lot of times we have like watches on teeth. Mm-hmm. Like if there's, I've seen several teeth that have fractures, and if you see a tooth with a fracture, what are you gonna plant? Like you're gonna plant a crown. Like that crown, that tooth needs a crown. Like this is just for an example, but you bring that up at each appointment. Let's say someone just don't want to do it, they don't want to They don't see the value in it. They don't want to spend the money, but you still say, you know, all right, we've got you remind them, hey, you got a fracture here. You remember we talked about this? Like, oh yeah. You know, I mean, we're fine watching it, but you know, if stuff starts, if you start having sensitivity, you start having pain, let us know because it needs a crown. But I'm fine with watching it. You're kind of like passive aggressive, like you're letting them know that it's there, but you're kind of like stepping back and saying, you know, we can wait though. I just want you to know that it's there, and you know.
Yeah. Two other things that I try to keep in my mind when I'm talking to patients too is, for one, you know, we talked to Dr. Baird and Dr. Larkin obviously is big on this, is your systemic health and how it's connected to your mouth and the heart attack gene. And so there's a patient I saw the other day. There were notes from previous residents saying, you know, the patient, I've told him he needs his lower anterior teeth taken out. They're, you know, infected, periodontally involved, big time mobility. But he wants us to split them together and does not want them out. So this was 2 or 3 residents that had tried to tell this guy, you need these teeth out, and then we got to figure out ways to replace them. And he's like, no, I'm too old and whatever. So when I saw him for the first time, I noticed in his medical history, he has a pacemaker. He has a history of cardiomyopathy. So he has existing cardiac problems. So I said, I just wanted to talk to you about something. I said, I'll be honest with you. And I had already kind of made this personal connection with him. You know, we had been talking for about 5 or 10 minutes about how we both got down to Florida and background and stuff like that. So I took a look at his teeth. I raised him up and I said, I'll just be honest with you. I said, I know that the health of your mouth is directly correlated to your overall health. I said, recent research has shown that bacteria from your mouth gets in your bloodstream, goes to your heart, and can cause you heart problems. And it's leading to heart attacks and all these things. I was like, you have some teeth in the front. I know people have mentioned to you in the back that they need to come out. I'll tell you there is infection there. We need to get things cleaned up and then figure out how we can replace these teeth and get you healthy. And he looked at me and he said, you know what? I've not had anybody tell me this kind of way about how it could affect my whole body. He said, decide what we need to do and I'll do it. He said, we need to get those teeth out. So that for me was like a boom, just right in my head. Like, okay, you know, in the future, remember that patients, if you present it to them, their systemic health, then it means so much different than, oh, you know, you've got plaque on your tooth that just needs to be pulled. So that was kind of an eye-opening thing for me. The other thing I'll just say real quickly is the chair of the program here. I had finished up a treatment plan and asked him to come in, talk to the patient. He comes in, and the patient had been telling me, you know, I'm 80 years old or 75, whatever the patient was. I just really don't think I'm going to live much longer. I just want something quick and cheap. And I tried to tell the patient, you know, that, you know, we don't know, you could live another 25 years and so we don't know what can happen. So he comes in and he looked at the patient. He said, one thing I always say to patients is I do not treatment plan for age. I treatment plan for health. He said, I have had patients come in to me 70 years old. I've suggested to them certain things that they need and they don't want to do it because they said, oh, I'm going to live 5 more years. Well, then they come to me 20 years later, all right, they're 90 years old or whatever, still kicking, still healthy, and say, you know what, I wish 15, 20 years ago I would have done what you suggested because all this time I could have had it. It would have worked so much better for me. So that was another thing that he talks to patients about when they say, oh, I'm old. I'm not going to be around any longer. I don't need this certain treatment, you know, and that's their reasoning.
That's a good quote.
It's not so much money. It's just that they're like, well, I'm going to live 5 more years, you know, whatever. So he's like, I don't treatment plan to age. I treatment plan to health. Then you work off of that. So those are 2 things that have kind of been in my mind lately that I feel like will help kind of make that connection with patients. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think the underlying thing to that is honesty. Like you're being real, you're being honest, and someone may not understand the biological reasoning why it's connected or what's all going on, but the basicness of that is that you are being real with somebody, and anyone can connect on that level. I mean, no matter what anyone's status or anything like this, when you're honest to someone, you're going to have that full connection. It's going to come full circle.
And I feel like patients really can sense that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're
for
honest,
100%.
and you're speaking from your heart, then they can sense that. If you're talking about, oh, it's going to cost this and it's going to cost that, and you need to do this, and they can sense that you're more about the money, I feel like.
And also something with that is confidence, because I've had a situation where I did a check and the patient had about 6 or 7 fractures on their, I mean, like almost every molar had 2 or 3 fracture lines per tooth, and there was watches on them, and of course they knew it. And I took the intraoral camera and I took a picture of all of them, and I said, here's what you have, these are what they look like. And they're like, oh wow, I've never seen it before. And I could tell in my voice I was kind of hesitant to like talk to them about, you need like 7 crowns. I mean, like that's kind of what you need. And I didn't come out and say that, but I was really just beating around the bush. I didn't get to the point. And they weren't like aggressive about it, but they were like, just tell me what I need, and that was sort of like an experience for me, like saying, well, if you just be real, just be honest. Like if you see it, just tell them, and they're going to respect
really
that so much more.
Yeah. And that's something that Dr. Porter down here actually said, I think yesterday. He said one of the biggest things that has to do with a patient accepting treatment is how much confidence you have in presenting the treatment. And then he said, confidence comes from preparation. He said, if you know your stuff, you know it works, you present it confidently, then that's so much better for treatment acceptance than, not really coming across confidently. And then they start questioning things. But if you are prepared, which leads to confidence, which leads to better communication during treatment planning, that goes a long way, I feel like.
Yeah.
I agree.
I agree. I think the confidence is a big thing. For me, I'm in an interesting situation where I'm in a practice where there's an older doctor who's like 65, and then another doctor's like 40, and then me. So there's like kind of 3 different generations of dentists in this same practice. And the way new patients work is kind of like, everybody gets new patients. And when we check the hygiene patients, it's kind of like just whoever's available. So it's not like a certain doctor sees a certain hygienist. It's kind of like, sometimes a patient will come in and want to see one doctor, but sometimes it's just whoever's available. And it's interesting to me because, there's three dentists, 3 different philosophies. Obviously I'm the newest and the most green. There was a situation the other day where I saw an established patient of Dr. Brown's, the older dentist in the practice, and it was someone who had a partial upper and lower and some interproximal decay, not a lot of decay, but it's there. And then some crowns with, not a lot of decay, but you could tell I was getting like a stick with the Explorer. You could see some radiolucency under the crown. So ideally, coming from right out of dental school, you think, well, you've got to fix all this. Like you think you need to get all this fixed. Well, to do this person is going to spend a lot of money, get a lot of crowns, have to get a complete new partial. And so I'm in a situation where I'm in there in the hygiene room, hygienist is there, the patient's there, and you have to make a call kind of on the fly, like quick, on what are you going to do? And if you tell this patient one thing, you're going down a road of a lot of money. Or 2, you can kind of watch things, which in my practice, we watch a lot of things. At least I do when I'm not sure of something, because I don't necessarily have something to kind of go against. In this case, I just went with, I said, these are the areas that need fixed. Ultimately, to get everything perfect in a sense, this is what needs to happen. and I asked her to come back in for a consult. Long story short, Dr. Brown actually had him come over and take a look as well, just to get his thoughts on his treatment. And his treatment was totally different than mine, and the fact that he was more willing to kind of watch things and patch things up. And they told me, Dr. Brown and Dr. Bryant both told me something that was kind of interesting. They said, don't wake a sleeping dog. They're like, if it's there and it's not really bothering somebody and it's not huge, he said sometimes you can go in there and try to do all this stuff and actually cause some problems with it. And that's something I never really thought of a couple months ago. You know, right out of school, you think you're going to tackle all this stuff, and now you're kind of getting some advice from some of these older guys. It's like, you know, it's actually okay to watch things. You know, let them know it's there, but let it play out.
Yeah, that's a good point. Lou, what's it been like for you with treatment planning and the whole process with patients at Affordable?
It's been interesting, man. It's been completely different than what y'all are going through, and it's completely different than it was in school. I'm not worried about crowns. I'm not worried about fillings. I'm not doing any hygiene checks. You all know where I'm at. I'm at Affordable Dentures. And the way they do things is different. And the way my office does things is probably even a little more different. But it's been great. Like, my experience so far has been awesome.
Well, Lou,
as far
let me
as
ask this, can you
planning,
paint a picture of like your day, like from say, you know, morning through kind of what's like the trend, like the flow?
Yeah. So they have a system down. The doctor who's been there, he's the owner of that practice, and he's been there over 20 years. And there's 3 assistants, 1 front desk person, and there is an in-house lab, so that patients come in, they're getting dentures the same day. So if somebody comes in with a bunch of teeth that are no good anymore and they're here for dentures and extractions, they'll get the extractions done in the morning, and in the afternoon they go home with a new set of teeth. But the office I'm in, the way it looks like right now is from 7:45 till about 9 o'clock. We'll just be seeing patients. Oh, and this is something else. The office I'm in, they don't do scheduling. So it's
like walk-ins.
If you want dentures done that day, yeah, it's just walk-ins. And some days it's slammed. Some days are slower. It's just the way this doctor's been doing things for so long, and it's word of mouth at this point. People know that if they want dentures, they'll come in by 9:30 and they'll leave that same day with dentures. But the way it works is, so the assistants still seat down all the patients in their chairs and kind of talk to them why they're there. A lot of the patients are there because they just want new dentures. So they already know what they want. And the way Affordable is set up, they have a tier of denture types that they offer. So they'll have like an economy, which is their lowest, most reasonably priced denture. And then there's economy plus and so forth. And it goes all the way up to like the ultimate fit, which is the nicest denture. And that one actually takes a couple days. But anyways, so the assistants will sit all the patients down into like 5 chairs. And the doctor I work with and I will get started. And by the time we get to a patient, we kind of have an idea of what they're there for, why they're there, and what they want. Because the idea is to just see as many patients as possible. So I'll look through their health history. I'll talk to them first. You know, I'll introduce myself. Hi, I'm Dr. Lewis. How are you doing? You know, just kind of learn a little bit about who they are for a few minutes before I get into it.
Right,
yeah, I mean, I think it's important you guys were touching on it, just connect with your patient instead of just getting there. It's like, all right, so you're here for this. Let's go ahead and get started on it. I think that patients appreciate you more when they can understand that you actually care about them as a person. And, you know, you want to be able to talk to those people about their overall health. And a lot of those people are there. They don't have good teeth, don't have good oral hygiene. and a lot of them need their teeth taken out. A lot of them have had their teeth taken out for a long time and need new dentures. But what we'll do in the morning is we'll take just impressions, and bite registrations.
Do you take the impressions, or do the
Yeah.
assistants?
So me and the doctor, no, they set everything up. So whenever I'm ready for the impression, they'll give me, I'll pick the tray and everything, make sure it fits. I'll add the wax to it and make it. Patients who have their dentures already, like old dentures, we use that as their custom tray, and then we'll put like PVS in it, and we'll do the impressions with that, get a bite record, and we'll make them new dentures based on if they've worn them out a lot. We'll get a new bite record where we can, increase the video and whatnot and make sure that everything's good. Some of them, so if you get the economy package, you don't get a wax try-in. But if you go the second level and up, you do get a wax try-in, and the lab has a wax try-in ready for you in like 20 minutes.
So are you hoping
those
everybody
patients
gets
will
an
come back?
economy so you don't have to do the wax try-in?
No, because I want the patient to be happy.
Yeah.
I want the patients to be happy with what they're getting.
Hey, Lou, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
So when you say extract their teeth and give them their denture that day, is that a temporary denture or is that a permanent denture?
So that is what we call an immediate denture. So usually it's the economy denture, and we'll give it to them that day. And there's something we give for like new denture wearers. It's called the new denture wear package. And what it does is you get that immediate denture for that day. And then 3 months later, you come in, and in that package, a reline is included, a hard reline. And so we'll do a hard reline. And then 1 year from the day you get your teeth taken out, you come back and we make you whole new dentures. And they could be whatever level you want, the ultimate or the medium or the premium. Because in that time frame of a year, you guys know this, that your bone is going to change dramatically in that first year after you've lost your teeth,
what I was getting at.
And your gums.
Mm-hmm. So that denture that you make it a year, is that included in the original fee, or they come back in a year and they pay again?
That's included in the original fee if they get the package. But a lot of patients, they just can't afford
they probably just get the one denture. Probably.
So there are patients who will come and they just I just want the economy. Somebody's here and they're paying for me. My church got some money together and this is why I'm here and they're going to pay for me. I have to get what's the cheapest. So, we'll give them that. So from 8 o'clock till about 9:30 or 10, we're just doing impressions. Boom, 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 boom. And then the patients they'll go back to the lobby. And then once we got the impressions going, we'll start, there's a surgical side, and then they'll start bringing the patients back and we'll start getting ready to do the extractions. So from 10 to 12, sometimes it goes later till 12:30. We'll just be in surgery, just pulling teeth and suturing it back together.
And then from 12 to 2, Lewis is sitting on the couch waiting to go back home into the office to deliver the denture.
So the lab, they're working on everything during lunch. And so if we get out on a regular day, I'll get out at about 12, and the patients are instructed to come back at 1:45, and they'll all sign in. And at 2 o'clock, we just start delivering the dentures, and the assistants all help with this too. And we're just, putting paste, seeing where they're hitting heavy, adjusting, make sure it fits right. If it doesn't fit right, we'll remake it. It's just so convenient to have a lab in sight, and you have that. You can walk across the room and go and talk to your lab manager, and it's like, all right, so what did I not get right on that impression? Or they'll come out and talk to you, and they'll be like, we think you should do this. And then on a wax try-in, if I have a question, I can get the lab manager, and say, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And they have it in their mind, so when they take that wax try-in back in there with them, they can fix it. I mean, it's a lot easier than school was. We've cut out a lot of steps that we used to do at school because
so you don't use compound the border mold?
No, no.
How are you gonna doing it?
Well, Lou, let me ask you this.
We
man.
have. Yeah,
Sorry,
go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I say we do have compound because some patients, they'll come in with their like 40-year-old denture, and it's like you have to make the call on whether you want to use that denture for their impression anyway. And so sometimes it's a usable denture and, it's broken, so we'll add a border to it and use a compound. But we mostly use stock trays and a lot of wax. And depending on if you get the most expensive denture, then you get a different type of material for your impression that captures everything a lot better. So, so in the afternoon, we will be delivering the dentures and adjusting everything. And then patients will go home and they come back if they have any issues. Adjustments are free. So
now with dentures, so
it's a cool operation.
Do you guys do partials, or is it just like, do you make partials there?
Yeah, we make partials. It's mostly dentures, but people will come in because they want partials. So we have things like, the flippers, and those will be ready in a day.
Gotcha.
With those metal just clasps, just basic flippers.
Right.
Somebody, is getting a couple teeth taken out, and they need a flipper, or somebody has a flipper already and they're losing some teeth that day and they want to add some more teeth. Like, we do that too. It's the whole deal, man. The only thing they don't do yet is implants, and that's why I came here.
Implants,
I've been, and that's awesome, because you just think about it. Every patient that walks in to that office who has dentures, 99% of them hate their lower dentures because they just don't fit. They're just floating teeth. All right. So every single one of them, just depending on their ridge and everything and their health, is a potential candidate for implant. The thing is, though, the office isn't geared towards that yet. So I've been preaching implants to all the patients I'm seeing, but we're not all on the same page yet. That's still in the works, and that's going to be something huge too.
What's the reasoning behind that practice not moving more towards implant placement? Is it more cross country, or is it just that dentist?
Yeah, Affordable is really big into implants, and that they pay for their GPs to take Moody's course. Mm-hmm. So they're paying for me to take his course and flights and everything. In fact, I'm going August 2nd through August 5th. That's going to be my surgical session in Phoenix. And they pay also for one assistant in the office to go with you and the lab manager to go with you.
Oh, really?
So they're in there with you through the – yeah, they do. It's really cool because, you're going there. Yeah, it is. Affordable does pay for them to go.
But, the people at your
my situation, they are not. Okay. And the reason for that is because the week that I'm going to it, that was their only vacation week of the year, and they didn't have enough time to plan. So I'll be going by myself. Okay. But Affordable, they will have BioHorizons rep come and speak to the office. He's going to do a lunch and learn. We'll do some hands-on. I've been trying to teach the assistants some stuff, what I do know. What I did from day one, I started an implant list, because a lot of patients will come in knowing about implants and wanting them. And those are the ones that are easy to convert, Yeah. But most of the patients that come through there, they don't know what it means, what implants are or what they can do. And so I'll give them my spiel, and just tell them all about, the implants, especially like younger people. Like this week, I had a girl come in and she was 21, and she, you look in her mouth and she's got crowns everywhere, and it just looked like there is at least $20,000 in her mouth, $20,000 in her mouth. But once I saw her X-ray, she needed all of them extracted. She had endodontic lesions in every single tooth, and they're just breaking off. And she just drank a lot of soda and didn't brush before going to bed. So all her teeth went bad and hasn't been to the dentist in a few years.
And you're
Dr.
talking
Pepper.
about making that implant list. It's one thing to talk about implants to a patient that has their teeth they're all about to be taken out, versus talking to somebody who has had that denture on the lower that's flopping all around.
Yeah.
It's like Dr. Porter told me the other day, he was like, you can treatment plan implants and they may say no at this point. It's like, give them a few months of that lower denture flopping all around, then talk to them again, and it'll be a whole different ballgame.
They see the value in it then.
Yeah.
They can't chew that T-bone steak anymore.
They hate it. No, they can't. And a lot of patients still come in and they just have the upper on and they're like, I don't wear my lower at all. They just don't fit. And I had a guy today, he came in because he wanted an implant consult, and he had these like beautiful dentures. Like they looked to me like they were brand new. I was like, when did you get these? And he was like, I had them made about 6 months ago, but they don't fit good. I want some new ones. I was like, looking at your ridge, and his ridge was pretty flat. I was like, we're not going to be able to make you something better than what you got right here, but looking at your x-ray, I believe that you would really benefit from implants. And so he was interested in that. He's on the list. He's going to be one of the first guys we do when we get back. But the interest is out there. I think the key is to just educating your patient. And it's not, and this is the key thing for me, and what I've been telling my patients, even more important than the implants just holding the dentures, is it maintains your bone. It minimizes your bone loss throughout your lifetime, because those implants inside the bone, they're stimulating that bone. And so it's acting like teeth do. And so once you get that stimulation in the bone, you're preserving that bone over time, as opposed to just dentures where it's rubbing on the surface. All it does is it accelerates the bone loss. Right. And especially if they're ill-fitting dentures too.
And it's like you said, you hate to see that person that's in their 20s or something that needs their teeth taken out, and then
man, it kills me. Yeah.
And to think what their ridges are going to look like when they're 60 years old.
Nothing.
Well, that's like this the one case where I had that patient that had the bridge from 7 to 10 break off, and so they hadn't had 8 and 9 for, probably, we're probably saying like 10, 12 years. And because it was a bridge. So I don't have anything against bridges, but kind of to this point about the bone loss, if they wanted an implant, I'm sure there would be ways to get the bone to where you could do the implant. But I'm talking where the ridge, 7 and 10 are obviously the roots are there, the bone's healthy. 8 and 9, it's like this little thin strip of paper almost. You couldn't fit a piece of lead probably through there without poking through one side of the bone. So
I know what you're talking about. I see it every day. We see a lot of patients, and what I also do see though is not as common as I thought, but people with more needs that actually have good teeth, but they're coming in and they're just like, I want all this out. And, I'll just sit there and I'll educate them. I'm like, look, dentures aren't like your natural teeth, okay? They're never going to be that way. They're not fun, okay? People who get dentures, they hate them mostly.
Yeah.
So I try to encourage them, and I always have cards in my pocket for my wife's office, or I got some for John's office and Joe's office, and I'll give to the patients. I was like, look, these teeth right here, we need to take them out. There's no saving these. But you have all these other teeth that are very good and they're very nice. What you do need are some fillings and some deep cleanings. And I'll get into some of that stuff that Cole was talking about that we learned about. Patients don't understand the influence of the oral health with systemic health. And so I'll get into that every now and then, and some patients, they don't care. They're just there to get their teeth out. And if you can tell if somebody's motivated or if somebody's not motivated.
Yeah.
But I've been there 3 weeks. I have pulled more teeth than I did all 4 years in dental school.
Man, I tell you.
But I know you've had longer lunch breaks than you've ever had in your life.
Yeah, I get to come home, cook my own lunch, play fetch with my dog, and then I
Man.
hop in my car, go back and
See
for another
what,
couple hours.
I hate the lunch schedule, man, because so you and Joe take lunch from 12 to 1.
Yeah,
Okay.
dude.
And I take lunch from 1 to 2.
You got to switch it,
So, like,
man.
I was so excited. Like, we're
Too
working in.
late of a lunch.
Well,
Well,
I
but
can't
no,
wait.
but I have an
Big
argument
Joe's
for that,
hungry,
though.
man.
I'm telling
I
you,
gotta
man.
be eating.
But see, it's like, I don't know. It's a good feeling when you're done with lunch and you've just got maybe, 3 hours left. But I want to mention something this week that happened to me in the office. So this is the first time this has happened, and I've been expecting it. I didn't know when it was going to happen. So obviously I talked on the last episode how all these patients are all new patients to me and everything. And, I walk into, and the bad thing about this was a procedure. This wasn't just a hygiene check. This was a procedure that they put on my schedule. And the patient okayed it. I mean, they were fine with me seeing them. So that wasn't a big deal. But anyways, I walk in. Of course, I knew they were new, so I introduced myself. And it was like first thing in the morning, and I was kind of upbeat, energetic. I was the schedule that was planned that day. I maybe had that day I had like a couple of crowns planned. So I was excited. It was like just a fun day that I seen on the schedule. And the first thing that patient says to me, "Do you have your birth certificate on you?" I was like, I kind of laughed at them, and like they didn't like laugh. They were kind of like serious, like you look too young to be a doctor. I'm like, oh no, I'm a doctor, But
Somebody asked me this week if I was 12.
But it's like it was like I hit a brick wall because I was excited. I was kind of upbeat, and they were nice after that, but it's still they were kind of serious. They were kind of like, hey, you're kind of young, man. You know what
Were
you're
you
doing.
honest?
I got that. I got that 3 times today. 3 times.
Were you honest with them and told them you're actually 18 and don't have a dental license?
Well, I left that part out. So.
Hey, Scotty, how's it going?
Do you
for
know what
down
I've
there in
been
Waycross?
saying?
How is it down in Waycross, Scotty Blanchard?
Scotty's still mad at me right now.
It's going good. Like I said, I'm still waiting on my my malpractice to go through. So, it should finalize tomorrow. So I've been checking a bunch of hygiene and stuff, and training and doing a bunch of CEREC crowns and all that. So, just getting the feel for the practice.
I saw Lauren was there today
love
too. So
CAD
she
scan.
started down there.
Yeah, she started Monday.
Yeah, that's got to
So
be
it's
nice
pretty
having
cool.
Your wife work at the front desk in the same practice.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Just
it's
learning
cool.
all that stuff.
Driving to work each day together, and then it's pretty cool. And she's getting to know the ins and outs of the office and, insurance and financial aspects of it. Kind of takes some pressure off me in the future once I take over. At least I'll have somebody in there that I can trust with my money,
Yeah.
So,
Does she like it?
it's cool. Yeah. She likes it better than her other job because it's more it's a lot more fast paced because it's a pretty big practice, especially since the doc I'm working with just bought another guy's practice out. So we're constantly every day getting brand new patients to that practice.
How many hygienists
So
do y'all have, Scotty?
We actually have 4 hygienists. There's 3 that's working all the time, and each one kind of, switches out. And we got 3 assistants, but we're in the process of we're kind of like in a duplex building. So one side's the practice, the other side's an accounting firm, but they're on the process of moving out. We're actually going to buy that side out too, so the whole building will be ours. And we got 5 operatories right now, but we're looking to add at least 3 more, which we really need.
Dang.
So that should in the next year we should start to, that transition.
The
So
other
with-
operatories for
that'll be
pedicures.
good. Yeah, massages,
Y'all got a
pedicures,
bench
the
press
whole
in there?
9 yards.
Dumbbells?
So
Yeah,
with them having,
one room.
Wondering what?
I was about to say one room would be, you got to get your pump on before you go see patients. So.
Have you been working out in the mornings before you go?
Oh yeah, that's
No,
the
I
reason
can
why
see-
I'm
can see
exhausted
another
right
operatory
now.
doing Zumba.
Cole, only you do
Zumba.
Zumba, man.
well, let me ask this. So,
Not
like,
cold
so
as
since there's
Pilates.
since you have 4 hygienists there, Scotty, and there's 3 that are working, but you have 4 on staff. That's like our office. So I found it kind of tough because we've had days to where there's only 2 hygienists working, and then we've had days to where there's 3. And actually Monday, two of the hygienists are off Monday, and then one of them only works Tuesday and Thursday. So Monday and Wednesday, we're only going to have 1 hygienist. And I'm pretty excited about that because I can focus a whole lot more on procedures and not have to check. But have you found it kind of tough with like 3 hygienists and you got 2 docs, right? To kind of like
yeah, 2 docs. Where there's 3 altogether, but it's I'm there every day, and the other 2 docs they each work 2.5 days a week, and I work every single day. But what was your question?
So I mean, have you found it like tough to actually, when you got procedures, you know, trying to balance that between checking the hygiene and having time to, you know, like 3 hygienists versus 2, you know? And
yeah, well, like I said, I hadn't got into like in-depth procedures because I don't want to do anything invasive until my malpractice finalizes, which I wouldn't do. But it's been an adjustment having to check that many hygiene, you know, going from and I've had to kind of get to know every single hygienist because they all do something a little different. And the thing is, with 3 docs, all of us like different things and different ways of doing stuff. So, I mean, basically, like the first week, they're asking me, okay, what do you like to do in this situation? You know, what do you like to?
That's how it was for me too.
Yeah. Do you want to see the X-rays first? How do you want us to introduce you and all this kind of stuff? You know, it's just been
like, do you,
as far as what?
Like, to me, they asked me that, and I'm like, honestly, I really don't know what I want yet. Like, I don't even know what's the right thing to do.
No, I pretty much tell them, look, I'm not here to rock the boat. I just want to, it's a successful practice. I want to keep, go through with it. And I'll tell them certain ways, like if we're in the middle of checking something and if I would prefer, because a lot of times I want to see the x-rays first, and then I'll go in and I'll actually ask the hygienist, are there any problem areas that stand out to you? And I know the main doc there, he doesn't want the hygienist to tell him anything. Basically, he just goes right in and whatever he sees, that's what he says. But I like because these hygienists have been doing it for a long time, so I like getting that heads up of certain problem areas, just to focus on. In addition to, I'm looking at everything else too. But the whole age thing has been, I've ran into that, like I said, 3 times today, but in the last 2 weeks, it's been multiple times. I mean, a guy today.
You need to grow your beard out, man. That's what you need to do.
You got to get a beard.
Grow it out. Remember the wife beater shirt where you had the axe and all that snowing. That's what you need. Like that's what Waycross, is it Waycross Dental Associates? That's what that needs to be like the poster boy picture right there.
They need to meet Dr. Natty.
I tell you what, if somebody, I'm gonna put this out there, and if somebody creates this, I want to at least be in on some of the revenue. I want someone to create a box that you can put your gloves in, whatever size you wear. You put it in there, and you stick your hand up under it. Okay, it's just like a little soap dispenser. All right, except it drops you out 2 pairs of gloves in that instead of like having to pull them out. Because I said last week, I pulled out the whole thing. I do that about every week. Every week, maybe not every day, but like I get, because I'm in a hurry, you walk in, you grab stuff, and I'll grab like 4 or 5. And so while I'm talking to the patient, I'm like, I've got 2 in one hand, I'm like stuffing, 3 back in there while I'm trying to like have a conversation. So for us out here, also all the listeners, somebody comes up with that, you'll be a billionaire, and at least give me some of the credit. So
no, I agree.
Well, guys, thank you all for tuning into the episode. I hope you guys are enjoying it as much as we are. Be sure not to forget to check out our journey on social media. You can check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Life in Dentistry. And we're on Twitter at Life in Dent. If you have any questions, you can send us an email to lifeindentistry@gmail.com. And if you haven't done already, be sure to head over to our reviews and ratings page on iTunes and let us know what you think about the episodes, how we sound, how we're doing. Be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss another episode. Again, thanks everybody for tuning in. And with that, we'll catch you next time.
See ya.
Go Vols.
Peace.
Deuces.
See y'all later.
K-It's.
The Dental Podcast,
where real people Real stories
and real life come together.
This is the Life and Dentistry Podcast.